Okay, we will call to order the meeting of the Haslett Type A EDC. Item number one, we have a quorum present. Item number two, citizens at 11:47, excuse me. Item number two, participation and comments from citizens. There's no cards submitted today. Item number three, of community interest. Haslett is hiring the city, the following positions posted: water maintenance worker 1, water maintenance worker level 2. Those interested should seek information about it with the city's website. Item number 4, consent agenda. Discuss and act approve the minutes from the April 26th meeting, and under the consent agenda, and we'll also do it with a joint resolution today. Discuss and consider act regarding the HEDC Type A financial reports from April 23. Any questions? Okay, I'll make the motion that we approve the financial statements and the minutes from the April meeting as presented.
I'll second it.
Brenda?
I approve.
Bernard?
Aye.
Hildreth? The motion carries. Item number 5, reports and presentations regarding economic development status within the city.
Just several things to mention. We are having lots of activity, lots of phone calls on a weekly basis, especially along the I-35 corridor. A lot of the people are wanting to do things that we really don't want to see, and so, but there is still a lot of interest in that area. And also, just a note, the Early Street parking lot went out to bid, and we have received bids that appear to be in budget. They're being checked out right now. And then finally, there are some appraisals on the EDC board, B-board's agenda that have been done, appraisal on the front.
I have a question. Getting back to the I-35 frontage, could you give us some examples of who's interested and not interested so we know what to expect of what might be coming in?
Well, it's really interesting that a lot of inquiries are for multifamily and residential in that corridor, but that's in the overlay district where there's a development line for airport development, and residential development is not allowed. So, basically those conversations go south real quickly. But there's a lot of interest in other uses, and especially on a 100-acre tract and also a 38-acre tract just south of the hotel. But there's nothing concrete. There's a lot of tire kicking at this time just to see what the city would like to see and not like to see. We're trying to push them along the idea of retail development instead of, big box warehouse and logistics type operations, so things we really don't want to see along our frontage. We consider that our last frontier along the I-35 corridor, and we'd like to have that as a fairly high intensity, a retail type development area.
Have we had any more hotels show interest?
No.
Morris, would you mind kind of drawing a picture of what area this is in? Where does it start and where does it stop on 35?
Well, the whole corridor starts up at Westport Parkway.
Okay.
Yep. But it's basically bounded on the north by Westport, where our city limit stops when you go into the Alliance area. And then to Harmon Road, where it exists now along Fairway, extending straight north and east of the floodplain. And then also an area that's included in our extraterritorial jurisdiction along I-35 frontage, clear down to Blue Mound Road, which is the extent of it. So it's
Okay.
from Blue Mound to Westport, east of Harmon.
So it's not very long trip through there.
It's not a very long strip, and unfortunately, Fort Worth owns a good portion of that property, especially as you go north of Hazlitt Parkway.
And are we just on the west side?
Just on the west side. East side of 35W is Fort Worth.
Does the city create any marketing effort to attract interest that they are interested in? Or you just kind of wait for people to come to you?
Right now, everybody knows where Hazlitt's at because of the airport. We're sort of in a unique situation, and there's not an active marketing campaign. People are coming to us at this point. But, you know, if you wanted to do logistics, it could be filled up tomorrow, but that's not what we want. We're more in a waiting game. And the right people, they will show up eventually. We just got to make sure that we carry forward with a strong story of what we'd like to see there along our frontage.
We have done that plan for that property. And I-30. What could be is that we are in a very unique location in the world. Understand, because of our airport and Burlington Northern Santa Fe, which is a unique logistics in the world, and plus all the research activity that goes on in and around this area, all about logistics. And here we are. If you're in the logistics industry, Haslett, Texas is logistics. They would put a warehouse anywhere it could be built. And resoundingly, citizens of Haslett, Texas have said, enough. And we do. We have a disproportionate amount of warehousing. There is a benefit, and there's pros and cons to that. But nonetheless, our gateway, that is our gateway. No big rock warehousing. And that just adds more semi trucks. We will, I mean, what we've seen, the move that we've made thus far in offering up the new master land use plan has gotten an almost immediate result. And the response to interest along I-35 being something different other than warehousing has resulted in, you know, some people want to be multifamily, some just other activities that aren't particularly in our vision. And it's a matter of the right person, right development company. In fact, I'm meeting Friday, a virtual meeting with a group, a developer out of Canada that's interested in what Haslett has in larger tracts for development. Now, they haven't told me development of what, but we will introduce that to them. to answer, there is no direct marketing time to sell that property. Of course, the landowners there, one primarily owns one of the largest tracts along I-35. Well, are you marketing anything? And I said, no. Ken, are you? Well, that answer is no. And I said, well, you own property. And we're not going to let warehousing come in. So why don't you do some marketing? But the fact is, the world knows our address. Both logistics and retail and housing and every sector of business knows our address. 20 years ago, yes, we would have had to do something. Yeah, 20 years ago, I was trying to get Walmart to come out there and build along I-35. They just didn't see what we knew or saw what was coming. But nonetheless, we don't see a need for it to spend that money, because that's traveling around the country and beating the drum at these different conventions.
Just one other quick comment. We have a lot of things that are happening there. You have 170 under construction. You have Haslett Parkway just now starting to push. And once those things all come to fruition, you'll probably see a lot more activity, especially on the retail end. Yeah.
How delayed do you think we'd be before we really try to do a traffic count there to use as maybe a marketing portion of that for the right retailer?
Well, it's going to be a while yet, because just working on the service roads along that whole area. I mean, it's all torn up. It's really a mess right now. But once those things get all cleared up, and that may be a year from now or 2 years from now, I think that's when you can start looking at maybe marketing a little bit heavier if things haven't already popped. But like I say, we're getting an interest at that location along the frontage there on a weekly basis. So everybody knows, and the real estate people are out there pushing it and trying to find something that'll work. So the interest is out there. It's just a matter of timing and the right people, coming to the plate.
I want to share with you that, yes, we've got Alliance Town Center and we got Presidio, and they're building some other thing in that triangle of I-35 and 287. Traffic is so heavy and congested out here in North Texas, and will get worse, is that it is painful to drive over into Alliance as well as Presidio. And these retailers will build closer to the draw. Now, we got this Haslett Parkway coming in. Well, there's 50,000 people out there on the west side of Haslett, Texas. And there's nothing out there, particularly than a Walmart. And guess what? This Haslett Parkway feeds right into that frontage right there on I-35. So to envision a retail center out there is not far-fetched. Well, yeah, Alliance might be 12 miles away. But it's a 40-minute drive. That's what retailers see and know. So it's a matter of time. There are lots of interest coming in, and also on the interior of Haslett. So that's picked up, and there's some good things coming. We're just not privy to talk all about it right now.
I have a question. What would you personally like to come in here that would make this a better community?
A nice steakhouse and seafood.
Well, by all means, I think we do need some restaurants.
Yes, and you know what, Hassett Parkway and the all opening up, all these developers, all these businesses, they all knew, that's been on paper for a long time. Now there's concrete out there and there's cars and trucks on it. They give those people a whole different perspective. Oh, this is real. This has happened now. Well, we better take our opportunity sooner than later. So what would I like to see? Certainly a good retail base. Now, I'm not wanting to sacrifice quality of life for an hour. We have a unique Avalon set up there. We got such a disproportionate amount of warehousing, and warehousing is as far as Avalon generator, it's a good generator, and it's very low maintenance. And what do I mean by that? Well, they get a small sewer line and a small water line because they got 500,000 square feet of shelves and a couple of little restrooms. That's low maintenance. Doesn't cost us a lot. Versus all the pipe and things you got to maintain that for a subdivision. Lord have mercy. Yes. So that there is a good side to that. But also, Haslett's been very fortunate that development has come and not just build homes, but higher end homes. How did that happen? I don't know. Nobody else does really. They just, much of it was, just driven because of the unique location we're in. And they were attracted here for very specific reasons. More at an agri-life type community, both a passive participation in that agri-life as well as an active participation in that agri-life. And the large lots. Those are our strong points. That's our value. So to build on that and invite and bring in retail that complements all of that. So I don't want a strip center full of vape shops, tell you that. So we have we can afford to choose right now. Be patient. Be patient. That's a good word. Very good. Yes. Let's be patient.
So with the rooftops that have free, as I could remember back in the past, people keep on asking for a grocery store. Are we getting any closer to seeing something like that?
Probably not. Grocery stores, any business will come to an area when that business decides that they can make money. With all the subdivisions that we have now and potentially with the build out, where, since, about 2015, added 2,005 new homes to Haslett. And they'll take us up to, when the build out's finished, will take us up around the neighborhood of 8,000, 8,500 people. That's still, if you look in the immediate area of Haslett, Texas, that's not enough for a grocery store to come and decide they can make money here. That's just a matter of fact. Could have never have built out Haslett, Texas enough to warrant that kind of activity. Now, there are things coming very close, as I have heard. I think it's maybe a Kroger that's coming down at Bonds Ranch Road and 156. Pretty doggone close. Now, would we, and I look at a grocery store and we go, well, tax revenue. Well, there's not a whole lot of tax revenue coming out of a grocery store anyway. It's all tax free except for dog food that you might pick up and the toothpaste, but so I understand, what I would love a central market out here. not just a grocery store. And one of these days here in the near future, I'll pitch that to the Central Market people. I have a connection to the owners, but it's just not time yet. So we can be very choosy and be deliberate in what we want out here. Quality, not quantity. That's my theme. Yes. Yeah. I hope that answered your question.
Morris, do you have any numbers on the hotel, what it's generating in hotel tax?
I personally do not.
So it's just within this budget sheet under sales tax revenue or what?
It would be part of that number. You know, when you start looking at some statistics, when you only have one use, they don't break one use out in providing that information from the comptroller's office. You know, if you have a city like a Fort Worth, they will give you a category, but when you only have one in town, they will not break out that information.
Okay.
We do have an indirect, and we can start pointing that out to you, is part of that tax we get to receive goes to a fund to use it for advertising. But it can only specific advertising, like for the whole point of the advertising is to influence more people to come and stay at the hotel. And so we can supply that number that will give you an indirect indication of what's being generated. I will say this, and as part of a education, depending on the hotel, it can be more costly to have in your city than what it generates, for what it brings or attracts. Understand that. All hotels are not created equal. Sir?
Okay.
We do. And that's what I will supply you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is our action items. Item number 6.1, discuss and consider an act regarding adoption of a quarterly board meeting schedule. And we should have information in our agenda packet. The proposed quarterly meeting dates would be August 23rd, November 15th, and January 24th, 24. And I'm assuming that if needed, we'd have special meetings called in between those days.
That would be correct. And I anticipate you may have one just when we start looking at, you know, budget, stuff like that. If it doesn't fall on the appropriate day, you may have another one for that. But we've tried to avoid the holiday season one before, and then starting in January is, you know, for your first one, and then at that meeting, we'll set up another schedule for the remainder of 24.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I do have a comment. Well, maybe it is a question. I'll take that back. What would be the difference as to if we didn't have an agenda, basically any action items, just to cancel that meeting, but leave us on a schedule like we have been? That's what we did during COVID, and it seemed like it worked well, because going back and forth like this, I mean, then you're going to have to start calling special meetings if something comes up. And if people are as interested in the city as you're telling us, then I would say my opinion is to leave it on the agenda. If there's nothing that requires any immediate action, just cancel the meeting then versus going on a quarterly meeting. So I'd like to make a motion to leave our meetings as scheduled and just cancel the ones that we don't need.
I'd like to second that.
Brenda?
I would agree with that.
I would disagree with that. Bernard? Okay, you did. Hilda?
I'm not opposed.
All right, then the motion carries.
Maybe where I got, or,
Oh, you wouldn't have made it.
And just a point of clarification, perhaps like 2 weeks before, when we start working our agenda, we'll contact the chairman. And then if you don't have anything to put on there, or we don't have anything to put on there, we'll just cancel that meeting then.
We will go on your recommendation. The only reason I would rather have it court just for business, because I drive from South Lake. So it's kind of nice to free up those ones for business purposes. But as long as we're 2 weeks ahead and we can make that call, then that'll be perfect. If that's okay. Item 6.2. Discuss, consider, and act to adopt the Grow New Opportunity Assessment to analyze the viability and sustainability of Haslett or a YMCA location, and as an economic development eligible project for funding. The cost of the study is not to exceed $5,500. And recommendation is the mayor execute a memorandum of understanding with the YMCA Metropolitan Fort Worth for a share of 50% funding of the Grow Opportunity Assessment. I think also what we're going to do at this point is go ahead and close the regular meeting and then move this into an executive session. So we'll close the regular meeting at 12:15. All right, we're ready to reconvene the regular meeting of the Haslett Type A EDC and pick up with action item 6.2, discuss, consider act to adopt the Road New Opportunities Assessment to analyze the viability and sustainability of Haslett as a YMCA location and as an economic development project eligible for funding, and specifically the approval of funding of the portion of the assessment not to exceed $5,500.
Why are we doing the assessment before we have the land?
At this time, I just don't think the study is necessary. I think we need to wait.
I will make the motion that we approve item 6.2 regarding the expenditure not to exceed $5,500 for the city's portion of a feasibility study to determine the viability of Haslett for a YMCA location.
I will second it.
Bernard?
I'd like to wait also, so I'd oppose it.
Okay, the motion is not successful. Next item on the agenda, consider an act regarding items to be placed on the next agenda. Item number 9, adjourn.